What is up, the Lions fans? It's your boy Motor City Don P. We're back here once again, and you all already know what time it is. It is that time again. Um, Listen, the situation with Calvin Shepard, and is he going to be moved? Is he not going to be moved? What Dan Campbell said on 97.1 The Ticket. If you don't know, if you've been living under a rock, Dan Campbell was on, his weekly spot on 97.1 The Ticket. Costa asked him a question about basically about Kelvin Shepard. Like, obviously our defense has been ass. It's been trash. It hasn't been good at all. So the question is about, hey, is Kelvin Shepard the right man for the job? And I gotta say, for a Dan Campbell show of support, it was kind of lukewarm. I'm not gonna lie to you. If I'm saying, hey man, Dan Campbell's got my back, this, that, and the third thing, and this is what he comes up with, and he says things like, yeah, have I thought about it after a game for a day or two, for 24 hours or so? As I said, as a Dan Campbell show of support goes, it was pretty lukewarm. Uh, Now, here goes the other question that you have. Who are the other candidates out there? We wanted Robert Salah. We wanted this one. We wanted that one. We wanted the third one. And the Lions continue to go in-house. The question that I have for you guys is this going in-house? Is this exclusivity? Meaning they're excluding everyone else from outside, and they're just bringing back guys or bringing guys in from inside. Bringing back was Johnny Morton. Very, very bad move. Johnny Morton could not figure out how to use the weapons that he had at his disposal. Couldn't figure that one out at all. Then you had Kelvin Shepard, who his predecessor was Aaron Glenn. And we know the story of Aaron Glenn. Everyone was, wanted to fire him and all these other things. But Aaron Glenn was constantly dealing with two things: a lack of talent and injury. Once he got the talent, you saw his ability to coach these guys. And he had like a top 5 defense, not going to lie. And then the injuries came, and he still wasn't really that bad. I mean, we still got through the season 15-2, even with all of the injuries. So then you bring in Kelvin Shepard, and you see what he does when the injuries start to mount. The defense takes a drastic turn. Now, here's the other thing that you can look at with Aaron Glenn. His defense, the unit that got, or the units that were affected, were the worst units that could be affected. Those were 2 units that make up 1 unit. They were the front 4 and the middle 3, which makes up the front 7. Those units getting hit by injury after injury after injury was detrimental. But even with that situation, we still went 15-2. Now, the unit that Kelvin Shepard has been dealing with that got hit was the secondary. It was the back 4, right? The back 4 is affected by the front 7, which is why it was a very detrimental thing for the front 7 to be injured when Aaron Glenn was here. Now that your front 7 is healthy, with the exception of a Marcus Davenport, who's always injured, who's never healthy. We don't expect him to be healthy. He is a free agent, by the way, and he better not have a contract to come back to Detroit. I'm just saying. The fire under Brad Holmes' seat gonna get real hot if he actually brings back a guy like Marcus Davenport. So no Marcus Davenport, please. Please don't do that. Please don't do that, Brad Holmes. Anyway, so now when you're looking at it, yes, Shep is a first time defensive coordinator and he needs time to blossom and improve. And I have zero what do you call it? I have zero lack of faith in Shep's ability to get it right. Here's my question. You're in a Super Bowl window. And I know Brad Holmes said he tried to do his best to keep away from windows because we're really happy with our young core and so on and so forth. And again, I'm not the guy that is going to sit here and tell you we can't do anything because we don't have any money because again, I understand how the contracts work. My question is, do you have time to bring along a first time defensive coordinator? Do you have time to deal with the growing pains? One thing that Coach Shep did not do well this season at all was adjustments, in-game adjustments. I mean, he was either a game or two games too late when we're talking about adjustments. We're not even talking about halftime. We're talking about games where the game would end and then we would come back and we would do the same thing next week and then he would be like, oh, maybe we need to make an adjustment. He talked all the right talk. He said all the right things. But is Kelvin Shepherd, does he have enough time? And I say this. I think Kelvin Shepherd's time, how much he has or how much he doesn't have, should be dictated by which candidates are available. Brian Flores is available currently. We'll see what happens at the end of the league year and all these things because he doesn't have a contract. Contract's up, right? After Sunday, he's no longer under contract as an employee of the Minnesota Vikings, which means he doesn't actually have a job. Now, they may be talking behind the scenes right now. They may be negotiating a new contract for him right now. If they're smart, they would be, right? Is Todd Bowles going to be the head coach of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? Even if you beat the Panthers on Sunday and you get into the playoffs, if you're one and done, you have to look at the fact that you got into the playoffs at 8-9, okay, which is terrible. I mean, only in the NFC South. The NFC South has to be the worst division in football. Then you go into the playoffs and you lose in the wild card round. Is that going to be enough? Is that going to be enough to keep your job? Because what it all boils down to is there just seems to be this race all the time at the end of the season in the NFC South. And the NFC South is terrible. You're racing with teams that do terribly and that are terrible. The Panthers were terrible for years. The Saints are terrible. The Falcons and the Buccaneers have the most talent on their teams. The Falcons can't get out of their own way. They got all types of penalties. Whatever the case may be, is it going to be enough to keep your job? Is Raheem Morris, we talking about the Falcons, we staying in the NFC South, is Raheem Morris going to be available? If any of these three men are available for the Lions and it's a realistic possibility, I think you have to move on from Shep. I'm sorry. I'd like to see Shep, and he'll land on his feet and he'll be a linebackers coach somewhere and then he'll have to work his way back up. And this will be a learning experience. He's not going to be out of a job. He's not going to be out of a job. So that's what I think, man. If you guys agree, if you disagree, whatever it is, let me know in the comments below. Um, and yeah, we'll get to it. We'll talk about it. But that is what it is. Once again, the Motor City Cats R&D back at it. We came to give you stats, not none of that static. Whatever you do, make sure you keep your lines news pragmatic. And we are out. Peace.